7 months ago, something like that. And now out of nowhere, you're just closing down. Like, it seems weird to me. Like, did they actually think in 6 or 7 months that they would somehow just get everybody to come over to MiXer?
Welcome back, everybody, to Beers and Boss Battles, episode 14. Today's topic, we're going to be covering the Call of Duty update. So that's Season 4 that's currently out. Just some of our thoughts and feelings on some of the changes that they brought to the game. We're also going to be getting into Fortnite. But usually we start our videos off with telling you guys, if you're not doing it, to go sub. And we're telling you that, yes, but there is another part to this where usually we plug in our gaming stuff. So for our stream channels, that's me on Facebook Gaming and Rob at MiXer. This is different today because as of yesterday, there was an announcement made by Microsoft that MiXer is actually going to be shut down. So currently, Rob, you're not anywhere really, right?
Yeah, I'm not streaming. I mean, here's the thing too. I've been playing a bunch of Last of Us 2, so I haven't been streaming anyway. I know you can stream from your PlayStation 4, but I think you can only do it on Twitch. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, right now I need to find a new home. I mean, I have a Twitch account. In the past, a long time ago, did stream on Twitch a little bit. But now I'm kind of in this place where you've been encouraging me to go to Facebook Gaming anyway. And I'm kind of more of where I think Twitch is so oversaturated right now. And don't get me wrong, like a lot of my favorite streamers are all on Twitch. But I think for someone like me, if I really kind of want to grow, I'd rather kind of grow in a place that doesn't have a crazy oversaturation. And I feel like that was part of why I liked MiXer. And now that it's shutting down, and you were already encouraging me to move over to Facebook Gaming anyway, because you've been having like very good luck with it. It's been going very well for you. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do. For the time being, I mean, I don't know what day they're closing MiXer, so I'll probably stream a couple more times on MiXer. Not that I really have people tuning in anyway, but my move going forward is once I get a computer and I'm able to stream, I'll probably do it on Facebook Gaming. But yeah, we thought we'd talk about that real quick because that's like, I just think, without going into super detail about this, but I just find it funny and I find it weird that a company as big as Microsoft was like obviously very invested in the idea of trying to come up with a competitor for Twitch, so it wasn't the only game in town. You know, they invested in Ninja with a big contract for him. Out the next month after that, and I don't know, what was that, 6-7 months ago, something like that. And now out of nowhere, you're just closing down. Like, it seems weird to me. Like, did they actually think in 6 or 7 months that they would somehow just get everybody to come over to MiXer or like dethrone Twitch in 6 months? Like, I feel like that's kind of short-sighted. Like a company like Microsoft, you would think they'd have a longer term plan in place. I don't know exactly what happened there. I definitely heard something about during the coronavirus. So in the gaming world in general, because more people are home, most gaming, everything has been kind of going up. Game sales are up, everything. Console sales are up. You know, Twitch, people tuning into streams, everything has gone up. And I think I heard that MiXer didn't really grow at all. So maybe that was a sign to Microsoft that, like, even right now, when everybody's home, still we're not getting people to come over to MiXer. So maybe they made the right move. I mean, they have a lot of smart people over there, and hey, they're closing it. I think there is some sort of deal, maybe you know more about it than me, that they have some agreement with Facebook Gaming, right? Where you can kind of, if you're a monetized account, I think they had some sort of a transition thing where people that have a big enough following on MiXer that they're monetized and they're making money, there is some sort of program in place for them to transition if they want to over Facebook Gaming. So there's some sort of partnership or deal going on there. But yeah, I mean, hey, they're
established with the closure of MiXer. They're establishing a partnership with Facebook Gaming. So I don't know.
Maybe they'll borrow some of the same technology, maybe, or who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're pretty much trying to say, like, hey, Facebook Gaming it's a good stream service. We're not competing the way we want to be competing with with people like Twitch. Or companies like Twitch, but I think it's a good move, and I think it's smart because you're pretty much just taking your audience and then you're just moving them. And it's like
To a
most
place with potentially like what, a lot bigger audience. I mean, there's like, isn't there something like 1 billion people on Facebook or something crazy like that? So, I mean, you know, it's funny though, because there was part of me that I would see some people start doing the Facebook gaming, and then eventually you did it. And when you finally did it, that's when I kind of like was like, well, maybe there's something to it, and I had an open mind to it. And then I actually found some streamer. I forget his name, Shadow Ninja something. He's like a Guitar Hero streamer on Facebook Gaming, and he's like ridiculous. So I actually have slowly found some people on Facebook Gaming that I've actually been tuning into, following, and liking. So I do think it's one of those things where a lot of people kind of laugh at the idea of, oh, Facebook Gaming, streaming, but like it is growing, it's getting more people, and it is becoming more formidable. And I think now when you're going to have probably a bunch of substantial streamers carry over from MiXer. So I think Facebook Gaming, and you got to realize how big the company is. They're probably gonna take a little bit of a slice, you know, maybe a slice of that pie from Twitch, and that's good for. I don't care what we're talking about. It can be gaming, sports, anything that's like monetized and money's involved. It's always better to have competition. If you just have one, you know, one-stop shop and there's no competition, which Twitch kind of had more or less. It's not good for the streamers. It's not really good for anybody. So it's good to have competition. So hopefully Facebook Gaming can be that.
Yeah, and I think that they're gonna be that, because with Microsoft on their side and having that partnership, I mean, I can't imagine that they're not gonna, you know, invest that much more into making this really pop off and it like establishing themselves again. But with that being said, you know, I think it'll be good. I think it's going to be something on Microsoft's end that I think it's a smart move. But I guess we'll have to wait and see, and maybe, you know, we'll kind of check back in at a later date and talk more about it. We didn't want to cover it too much. We just wanted that to be something that we did talk about. It is pretty big news, but for all you guys that are out there on MiXer, be ready for that transition. You guys are coming to Facebook. And
maybe we segue into what we're thinking.
Wow, dude, okay. So Rob today brought some real fancy stuff.
I don't know. So 21st Amendment Brewery. It's brew free. What does that say? Brew free or die. It's an IPA. It's just their IPA. I've never had this, but it's a pint. It had cool artwork. I saw it and I was like, you know what? Why not, man? I'll try it out.
It looks cool. The can art is cool.
Yeah, the can art is pretty cool. I was trying to see on the can, is there any information about them? But yeah, it's just 21st Amendment Brewery from San Leandro, California. I probably pronounced that wrong. I don't know what the alcohol percentage is. Wait, no, here it is, 7%. So 7% alcohol, and I've never had this. We'll see. Well, I'll have to let you know what I think about it based on the first sip.
This section of the video is Robbie's taste test.
Yeah. All right. It's kind of just like that basic IPA taste. Based on the first sip, again, I'm not deep into it, but just based on the first sip, it's kind of I don't know if bitter is the right word for it, but I would almost say maybe almost like a little bit of a more bitter IPA. Yeah, like those hops hit you pretty hard, man. Like, and maybe if you're into that, you probably like that. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of other IPAs that do it a little bit better. I don't know. It's okay. I mean, based on my first couple sips, I'm not super impressed with it. I feel like we're always super positive, and I feel like maybe I should start being a little bit more critical. And like, I'm not going to say that it's bad, but I will say the hops come on a little too strong with this one. And the way, and here's the thing too, sometimes a beer can do that and it has a great aftertaste and it makes up for it. This kind of is like that first sip that hits your mouth, that's all you get. Like there's no aftertaste that's different. Like you get, like what you have right when you first take that first sip is what you get. And maybe if you're into that, maybe you would like it. But I'm going with it's okay.
Well,
I see you're drinking one of my faves over there.
Yeah, is this?
I love that. Yeah, that's a great beer.
Okay, I guess I could be a little critical here because recently, I would say recently, it's been quite some time, but I've been drinking a lot of IPAs. Obviously, most of the beers, if not all of them, that I have when we're streaming are IPAs. That's just been my forte. So having this, it's good. It's definitely not. I wouldn't say bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it's it's there. Like it's good, right? But I because I've had so many really good IPAs, and maybe that's kind of setting my
Yeah.
standards a little bit higher. I'm not like wowed by it, but it's definitely good. I mean, I would suggest like if you want something that you're going to be able to find that's good, that's IPA, that's strong,
Yeah.
go with that, you know. But yeah, I mean, there's not
What's the alcohol percentage on that? Isn't it like 8 or
6.2, 6.2.
6.2? All right.
Mm-hmm.
You could open it.
Oh, dinner's ready, honey.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Have to cut that one out.
But yeah, I mean, it's not like a beer I have a lot to say about. I think most people have probably tried it, and yeah, it's good.
You know what, here's what I'll say. I haven't had it in a while, and you're the one who's kind of gotten me into buying these pints, these smaller brewery, and they're different, and they're usually better.
Yeah.
But when you buy, something like a Lagunitas or something, I mean, you could find that in probably almost every grocery store. So maybe like if I went back and I had it now and I'm comparing it to this kind of stuff, maybe I would be disappointed. But when I probably the last time I had that was probably a year ago, and I loved it and I really enjoyed it. But maybe it's one of those things where, now slowly I'm spoiling myself with better beers. So maybe some of these beers won't.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at because I feel like now because I've had so many good IPAs and like just great brews, I feel like I don't know, having something that like, a standard store-bought beer is like, I mean, it's good. Like I said, it's just in general, I usually don't buy just like regular beer and I try to get like something, higher end, something that, whatever, but it's good. It's good.
Have you had it before or
Hmm?
is this your first time having it, or you've had it?
No, I've had it many times. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, so then that's kind of, I guess, another thing. It's not like it's not like a new thing for me either. So this isn't, a lot of times when I come onto the stream, that might be the first time I've ever had that beer or the first day that I've ever. So, because a lot of times I'll have maybe like a beer before we start, and then I have the one when we're streaming, or when we're recording, and so usually I'm like. It's so new to me that I have a lot to say, and I'm like, wow, like there's all these things going on, but
yeah,
it's a yet again though, kind of like what you were saying. It's like it is very hoppy, so it's just like a punch. It doesn't have any like lingering taste. It's just there, like yet you said it best. Like you take that first sip and that's it. Like it's not.
Yeah, like if you're looking for something more, it's not there. See, my recollection of that beer is that it's pretty smooth, and I don't remember the hoppiness being too overbearing. But it's been a while since I've had it, so I don't know.
No, it's not. I guess I should reiterate. It's not overbearing. It's just that it's very. The taste is very much delivered the second that you start drinking it. You know what I mean? Like you kind of just get the whole package, and you do taste the hops. They're there. And it's like I said, it's just kind of a punch. Like there's nothing lingering. It's just like you taste it and it's like it's good, but it's yet again it's a standard beer out of the supermarket. It's still good though. All that being said, I think it is due time that we get into our our discussion for today. So I guess I could start off by saying that we actually did, for all of you out there that are watching, we did record a video about the update. We had covered all the stuff. We were online. We were looking, and we had everything done. But due to just things coming up and us recording a lot of footage and trying to keep posting things, it kind of got lost in the mix. So we just decided to scrap it, and it's there. I mean, we can always drop it if you guys leave something in the comments and you want us to put it out. Sure, we could do that. We just felt as though it wasn't as relevant, so that's kind of why we're here today, touching back on it, to just actually get into it. And also too, when we did that video, I hadn't played it yet, so it was kind of just like me looking at things online with Rob and kind of just seeing what what they said on the page as far as like patch notes and.
Well, I think with that one, neither of us had played it, right? I think we were just kind of
Oh,
going.
that's right. Yeah. We were actually,
we
were
were
both
going over what the update was gonna be, and like we were saying, like, oh, well, this sounds really cool, or oh, this doesn't sound so cool, and now it would be. Now we have played it, so it would be kind of irrelevant to post it now because
Yeah.
a lot of time has passed on, and now we've actually gotten our hands on it, so we can give you a more articulated opinion on it.
Yeah. So, my, I guess I'll start with my take. My take is it's good, although I don't think it was as big of a change as I thought it was going to be. The biggest thing for me that I noticed, and that's besides, so for all of you that maybe don't play or aren't aware or haven't played, I don't know, but the three major things that happened when this update came out was that they implemented a new system where, like, somewhere halfway through the game, there would be one of three things could happen. So one of them was that you'd have a fire sale. So for the duration of 60 seconds, all the buy stations would have like super discounted prices, like $600 for a gas mask, $800 for a UAV, free self revive, free to bring back your teammates. I didn't, and also just kind of touching on that, I didn't notice, because my original fear with that being included was that I thought people were going to be more campy on the buy stations, because that's already, I think, a major issue with that game. I feel like it incentivizes people way too much to just sit by a buy station and wait for people to come in, and it takes the fun out of it for me. But I didn't see that actually, increasing at all. I didn't see that more prevalent.
So that kind of ties it. I don't want to actually finish your thought, and I'll kind of pick up.
Well, okay. So I mean, the only other things I really had was that the other two possibilities for the mid-match event was, so you had the fire sale. You also have a loot helicopter, and I actually haven't run into that one yet.
Me neither.
But
Same. I have not seen it.
It's pretty much just a helicopter that flies around. You shoot at it to take it down. Once it's taken down, you go and you pick, and it has like great loot, like high tier.
The idea sounds cool, but look, neither of us have seen it.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't honestly even know if maybe they took it out for the time being. I'm not really sure. I just have not seen it. They also had Jailbreak, and so that was something where
that's what I want to talk about. So in my experience, I think I saw a couple different times where that was the thing that happened. There was a jailbreak. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking up at the skies and I'm all like, oh crap, there's going to be 1 billion people coming. I didn't see anything. It had literally no impact on the game I was in. Okay.
So I mean, maybe that's for for better. I mean, I was a little skeptical on that one to begin with, because I felt like, okay, well, this game already has such a problem with having people in the game for too long. Like, you fight a team, you kill them all, they all get gulag, they all come back.
Then they buy him back in.
You fight him again, then 3 of them die, 1 escapes, he buys all of them back, and you fight him again, and they win. That's dumb. That's I think that's the one thing I'll say. Like, and it is a 50-50 split, because obviously when you're on the other side of that, you're like, dude, I really want to buy my people back. Like, having the availability to do it is awesome. But it definitely, I feel, takes away from the battle royale aspect of that, and that's what it is. It's a battle royale. So, I mean, if you can constantly just bring people back, then it's not really a battle royale. It's more multiplayer-esque,
Yeah.
So, I mean, of course, obviously, lives are finite and money and resources and stuff, but still, like I said, I think the element gets kind of stripped away from the game. That being said, though, it is cool, but yet again, I haven't really seen like a major impact in anything. Actually, as a matter of fact, one thing that did stand out to me too is that they decided to bring back that I don't know what it's called, but it's like pretty much you place the bounty on yourself, and you become a target on everybody's mini map, everybody's map. They can see where you are, and it follows you, and it lasts a total of 3 minutes. So it's not very long, but when you have a map of hungry,
a lot of people,
aggressive little kids running at you with graws and stuff. I mean, it could be pretty vicious for that 3 minutes.
Well, what's kind of cool is that's up to you if you even want to risk it.
So I didn't touch on it really, but the purpose of that is simply if you lose all of your teammates and you don't have the money to buy them back, you take that on, and you're the top target on the map, included with other people that are currently like have that quest activated. But so you're this target, but after that 3 minutes goes by, it brings all of your teammates back and rewards you anywhere from 3,000 to like 5,800 for that one contract. So that was really cool. But I think as a whole, the game doesn't seem to have major changes. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. What did you think?
I think again, this video that we did, and we ultimately ended up scrapping it. We spoke, we read everything on paper and we spoke about it, and we gave our positives and our pros and our cons. And it seemed like these things would be a lot more impactful than I think they really ended up being, at least in my experience. And I will say that I have not played as much Warzone in the last couple weeks as I would have hoped for. I've just been busy working and a bunch of other stuff. And then very lately, which I'll probably talk about in the next podcast, maybe, is The Last of Us 2 came out, which I was on the fence about even getting it. I've been playing it like there's no tomorrow. I will say that I already knew the leaks, but now seeing them and playing them, it kind of is bothering me. The different problems in the game, they are getting to me. And I am going through some things where I'm like, man, I almost regret buying this, but that's another story. We'll talk about that another time, but I haven't been really playing as much Warzone as I would have liked.
But from what you did experience, obviously the major changes, the things that they really focused on with the update, it didn't seem like a lot changed. But what did you see as, or at least what was a thing that you did notice? Like, what was something where you're like, okay, that's different? Like, you know what I mean? Like, for me, like I said, I mean, it was just like, even with like the contract thing coming back, and like, so that was kind of cool. But, like, was there anything in particular that stood out to you, or?
Yeah, I would say that I thought was cool, which I definitely did notice. The jailbreak thing, at least in the couple games I was in, I didn't even notice people parachuting in, so it didn't really seem like it had any impact. And then I didn't see the helicopter. The flash sale, I don't think I was near any buy station, so again, kind of didn't impact me. So when I read them on paper, I thought it would be this really big deal. And then at least in my experience, again, a limited experience, didn't really have much of an impact. Now, the game itself, I still like the game. It's a pretty stable game. They added in some new weapons and stuff. I think I'm very close to unlocking the first weapon, but I don't have it yet. I've heard very good things about the weapons that they released.
Oh, the Vector is apparently godlike.
Yeah.
Like that it's called the Fennec, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
That gun is really good. By the way,
another one too that I can't remember what it was though. But I've been hearing
it's an AR. It's called like the CR something.
Yeah. One thing I noticed the last time I booted it up is that they don't have quads anymore.
They actually brought it back.
They pulled quads out, and
they brought it back.
Oh, okay. So then, literally, since the last time I played it, they brought it back again. I don't know why they do that. That's weird to me that they put it in, take it out, put it in, take it out. I don't
see. There's certain like modes. I understand why you do it, right? So you have like shoot the ship, or like that one playlist. It was actually really funny. It was like Call of Duty players only want one thing, and it's disgusting. Like, okay, so I could get that.
I like that mode. I wish they left that in. Yeah, that mode should just be a permanent, because, dude, it's the best for leveling up your weapons. And if you want to put up with the chaos, that should be up to you.
Yeah, and well, actually, since you're saying that was actually where I was going with this, is that I feel like certain things, I get why they would switch them out. Like, shoot the ship is a perfect example of, like, it's great, but it can get definitely stale, and it gets redundant if it's there for too long. So, okay, whatever, we'll scrap it for now. We'll bring it back later, but we'll take it out. We'll replace it with something else. So I could get that, but the thing, like with quads, like for Warzone specifically, like quads, solos, duos, trios, that should be a mainstay thing. Like if you want to swap out, like they added Rumble in, which we'll get into that, but like I think for the modes, I feel like that's something that should never Like,
Yeah, I wonder what the reasoning is. Like, because I would assume that there's some sort of reasoning for it, but I have no idea what it is because I think they removed it for. It's got to be. I think they removed it for like a week or something. I mean, it might be back now, but I feel like it had to have been out for a week or something like that.
Yeah.
So like, why? Okay, you removed it for a week. Why? To try to make people play, duos or trios? Was that? But okay, but why? Like, it's
Yeah.
kind of weird. I don't really get the reasoning for it, but maybe now we go into Rumble. So you have not played Rumble?
I played it with you, but that was it.
Oh, I don't remember that.
When we actually
My girlfriend's laughing at me in the background because I don't remember playing that with you.
this is a good opportunity for me to actually bring this up. So for all of you that are there on the other side of the screen watching, we are doing a giveaway still. And
oh, that is a good point. Yes, we are.
It's just important that and the reason I'm bringing it up now is because the same day that we recorded that was the same day I actually got to try out Rumble. But now that we're on the topic, I just wanted to say,
wait. Okay, so for anybody, reminder about the giveaway. Go comment on that PS5 event giveaway video, and you get yourself a brand new PlayStation 4 controller. All right, we want to give this away. Not this specific one. We'll give away a brand new one, but we got to get to 100 subscribers. So. Come on, go to that video, leave a comment, and you could say, I hate you, controller, and maybe you win yourself a PS4 controller.
Well,
come on.
The other stipulation to this deal is that you do have to sub to the channel because obviously that is the main goal is that we want to reach the subscriber count of 100 at least. That is going to be the cap. So pretty much anybody within that span of time that subbed and commented, you are obviously entered in that. And the best way for you to raise the stakes and get have a better chance at getting yourself that controller would be to share that video. If you want that video, just get other people, bring them in, have them do the same thing. And hey, if you have buddies that are just interested in helping you out and want to just give you the controller, they can do that too. We don't personally care. It's really just for you guys. We want to get you guys something nice as a thank you, obviously, and it's beneficial to both sides of this, but it is there. It's actually, I think, the third video down in the most recent feed of uploads.
Maybe we can leave a link in the description.
Yeah, I can leave a link to that video as well. So I'll leave that down in the description. You guys can go and check that out. Yet again, 100 subscribers. If you're interested in, being entered into that, just go to the video, subscribe to us, leave a comment with the word controller anywhere in the sentence of that comment, and you're good to go. That being said, and now that we put that one out there, because we do feel like that's something we need to keep bringing up until we get to that count.
Oh, we want to give one of these away. That's
a free controller. I mean, and I'll be honest, I know PS5 is on the cusp, but I'm sure a lot of you guys have raged out, broken some controllers playing Call of Duty. So if you want to fix that problem,
I got a funny Monster Hunter story for another video about broken controllers.
I know that story.
Maybe I'll let my girlfriend tell that if I can get her on this podcast. She can tell you all
about it. As far as Warzone Rumble, not so cool. I thought it was going to be better. Not really.
Yeah, the idea of it is really cool.
Concept.
And what I kind of like about it is like, so say you're one of these people like my buddy Clay who plays with me. He doesn't have the base game. So in order for him to level up a weapon, so like, in Warzone, for the most part, your main goal is to get a loadout. So you can pick the weapons that you want, good upgraded weapons. So you have something formidable to play with. So my buddy Clay, he doesn't have the base game. So he has not been able to level up weapons. So when we go to get loadouts, he's not really able to get anything that good.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I was like, oh, well, Rumble can kind of be like the regular multiplayer in a way. You have the 50 versus 50 or whatever it is. You're on a smaller section of the Warzone map. And this is kind of a cool way to give people an opportunity to maybe level up those weapons that they can't normally because they don't have the base game.
Mm-hmm.
But what ends up happening, at least in my experience, is it's just a sniper. Literally, like half the team or more is sniping, and then you have like you have a third, probably let's say a third. So 2/3 of the map, 2/3 of the team is sniping on both teams. Yep. And then the other third is like maybe they have assault rifles or submachine guns, but it ends up just being kind of like a campy sniping mess. And the idea is really cool because that Warzone map is well designed. You can kind of take sections of it and create a fun experience for people to play in. But at least in my experience, the sniping ruins it. So I would say Infinity Ward probably would have to do something to try to either encourage people to not snipe or maybe even like maybe ban sniper rifles or something from the mode. I don't know how you would fix that mode, but right now it's kind of a rough, annoying mode to play unless you want to snipe. I mean, like for myself, I'm not a big sniper. So I kind of use, when I play Rumble, I use it as an excuse to kind of level up my sniper rifles because they're not leveled up. And I kind of have fun. I'm like, yeah, maybe I'm not as bad at sniping as I thought I was. But for everybody else, and I think for most people, it just gets old super quick. It's just a sniper fest.
Yeah, no, well, I'll say this. I think, yet again, I think conceptually speaking, it is cool. And it's like, oh, 50 people versus 50 people. That's awesome. That's like a real war. But it's like, I feel like outside of the people that don't have the actual game, like they just have the Warzone, like they just have Warzone downloaded and they don't actually own Call of Duty Modern Warfare, like outside of those people, you just go to the multiplayer and play Ground War. And I think that's a better version of what that was trying to be. That's my take on it. But even that, I'm not even a huge fan of Ground War anyway. So it's not,
Either.
I don't.
Let's be honest. It's their little attempt at trying to kind of do what Battlefield does way better.
Yep.
That's my opinion.
Yep. No, it's 100%
for
true.
the record, I'm up until this latest Battlefield, I've always been a massive Battlefield fan. I've always loved Battlefield more than Call of Duty. And the last one, whatever it was, Battlefield 2 or 1942, whatever, I forget the name of it. The latest one where it's World War II, but it's like, I don't know. They did, and they had the Firestorm Battle Royale and stuff that they added to it. But it was just, I ended up getting it, and I played it for a couple weeks, and that was it. Like, it just wasn't, to me, I know a lot of people hate on Battlefield 1. I absolutely loved Battlefield 1. I thought that game was so good. I think it was super underrated. The graphics were amazing. I loved that even though they were World War I era weapons, I know it wasn't really accurate to the times because they did add in a bunch of semi-automatic weapons or experimental weapons that wouldn't have been accurate to the times. But you got to realize you're making a game and it's trying to compete with all these modern games. They had to kind of add in automatic weapons and different things to make it more fun. But I just loved how gritty and fun that game was, and the destruction, blowing up houses, and it wasn't the same level as the previous Battlefields. They always had better destruction, but it had enough that kind of satisfied you. It was gritty. I personally used a lot of semi-automatic weapons. Those were my favorite. I wasn't really into automatic weapons in that game, and I had a ton of fun with that game. And just not notoriously, but just in the past, I've always been a big Battlefield fan. And back to Call of Duty, their ground war is just kind of like their little attempt to kind of compete with Battlefield. But it's
not a good attempt. It's not even in the ballpark of
flat.
that kind of magic. It's just very stale. The spawning sucks. You're kind of all over the place. So, I mean, look, my point is this. I'm not a huge fan of that. And because that's very similar in the nature, to Ground War, like, you're talking about Warzone Rumble versus Ground War, they're very similar. I just feel like if you're looking for the experience that Warzone Rumble was trying to be, you should play Ground War. Even though I don't like Ground War, I think it captures that type of play better. But it's not my type of play.
No, I agree. I agree.
I will say this though, we're talking about this update, right? And we're saying, okay, well, there's been changes, sure, but there hasn't been this major overhaul in a lot of ways that we thought there was going to be. Now, my biggest issue with the game currently, and maybe this is just now, and maybe I'll feel differently about it later, but I will say this. I think what they do need to focus on, and I'll say this also because I think that they've done a good job at cracking down on a lot of the toxic play, like cheating and making sure that those people get banned and that they can't play. And I'm all for that. I'm 100% behind that. But what I'm feeling like they're almost missing out on is I feel like there should be some kind of penalty system for people that just drop out of the game. Because as I'm sure a lot of you out there have experienced, there's been games where, everything's going good. You have the weapons, you got the money, you have everything you need at your disposal to win that game. And because one guy like decides to run out and act crazy and then gets himself killed and then drops, and it's like immediately your chances of success drop drastically, because in that game it is a lot about the numbers. Like, sure, there are people out there that are super high level players that have come away with a 1v4 and clutched it out. That's not saying that hasn't happened, but for the most part, that doesn't happen. And there's even been situations where those same high-level players get into one-on-ones with kids that shouldn't beat them, and they get beat. So to have numbers in a game like that is that much more important. You're always going to be in an advantageous kind of position whenever you have better numbers, of course. That's just what it is. But, I don't know. I feel like it takes a lot of the fun out of the game when, if you don't have a set amount of people to play with, or maybe you do, but they're not online, they're not available to play, unless you're playing solos, which, I mean, for me personally, I'm not a huge solo guy. Like, I like playing battle royales Fortnite, I'm more into the solo thing, which we'll get into when we get into that portion. But for the most part, like Call of Duty, those kinds of like first-person shooter games, I do like the aspect of being in a squad, or like at least with another person, and just kind of like the teamwork aspect is really big for me. That's actually a big, pull factor for that game. So I don't know, man. I feel like, when you take that away, when you're playing quads, I don't want to play quads so that when, three people make dumb shit mistakes that they're just going to drop, and then, oh, here I am, and I have to play out the rest of this game and probably lose.
I mean, the only thing I would say, though, I mean, in the, like, let's say the developers' defense, is that problem exists in pretty much every battle royale.
Yep.
And not even just battle royale, it's like just multiplayer in general. You know
Yes,
what I mean?
but okay, so in a lot of games, right, you have the option of being in like a casual match versus a ranked match. And the only difference between those two things is that in casual, none of those stats get recorded. So any of your kills, your deaths, that ratio, it's out the window. Any of your assists, any of the points gathered, nothing is recorded. Whereas with ranked, everything is recorded. Every single death, every single kill, every single hold time, whatever it is, it's all there. Everything in Call of Duty is recorded. So essentially, all of Warzone is ranked. And in a lot of games, they have a penalty system for people that drop out of ranked games. You could take Paladins, you could take Overwatch, you could take Rainbow Six Siege, you could take Pokemon, you could take Super Smash Brothers. They all have a penalty system for when people do that. Because
no, but I'm saying battle royales typically don't.
No, but that's you're right. No, the 100%. But that's where they could probably set a new standard, because I do think it's a little bit ridiculous when, like, why am I going to play a game to play like, if I'm going in and I'm like, oh, I want to play with 3 other people, like, unless they're complete, like, assholes, and I don't, okay, so I guess that's probably why they're leaving it open, because you don't know who you're getting paired with, and maybe you have such a bad experience. It's like, hey, there shouldn't be a penalty for you having to get out of that, but that's just kind of comes.
Yeah, I feel like that's a rough one, because think about it too, like, say I only have an hour to play. What am I going to do? Now I'm going to be penalized if I don't stay in this game with these, like, really crappy players. Like, say you lose the gulag or whatever, and you're watching your teammates play, and they're playing like absolute morons. And now, like, I'm going to be penalized, so I feel obligated to stay in the game, and now I only had an hour to play. And like, so I don't know. I see what you're saying, but I feel like in the battle royale genre, it's kind of a tough.
It is. No, I'm not denying that. And I think you're definitely right where, it's one of those things. It's like, well, nobody else does it. And there's definitely some exceptions to that where, like,
I think the key to that is, sadly, getting a more hardcore, committed group that will play with you. You know what I mean?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I have I have people within my circle that that play the game and, take it seriously when we do play. There he is. He's back to the classic lager.
Yeah, I got one left. See, this is a great smooth beer. Again, reminder to anybody, if you're interested, if you're into lagers, if you're a Foster's Lager fan, to me, this is a very like refined, better Foster's Lager. Don't get me wrong. I like Foster's. I'm a big fan. I buy them pretty often, but this is like a little bit more refined. I like this. Good.
Mm.
Take it away, Troy. Back to what you were saying.
No, I mean, I'll leave it at that. I think it's something that needs to be worked on. I think it could be a positive move for them if they incentivize people to stay in the game. I do think it takes a lot of the fun out of the game.
Yeah.
People are just dropping.
Well, wait. Oh, here's one thing we did not talk about. Wait a minute. Now I'm getting confused. So me and Clay were playing Warzone, and we ran into a thing where, and unless this is but this can't be the helicopter thing. So pretty much what happened was there was a zone. There was something on the map, and we had to get there. And then we got there, and we were able to get a blueprint for a weapon. And we like pretty much a helicopter comes in, drops a rope, and then you like almost like Division. Like when you're in the dark zone in the Division, you want to get your gear out. There's a helicopter, drops a rope. You put your stuff on it, and then you got to defend it and wait for the helicopter to take off. And then once it's taken off, it gives you that gear. It's kind of like that, except with a blueprint. And this is a blueprint for a weapon, and it's a permanent blueprint that you get to keep. For what I forget what the blueprint that I got was, but that's something that I forgot about that is in this update that I did get with Clay that I thought was super cool. And maybe that's something you could do to incentivize people to stay. Maybe if you get like in the top 10 teams, if you're in the top 10 teams, maybe you get some sort of even if it's not like a crazy blueprint, you get like a kind of some sort of blueprint, something that you can use that's tangible, that's like worth incentivizing to keep that person in the game, maybe something like that. But I do want to touch on that I don't know what that's called or what it was, but I was able to get a permanent blueprint for a weapon by doing this objective in the Warzone game.
Okay. I mean,
I don't think it's the because we didn't have to shoot down a helicopter, so I don't know what that was that we did. I don't know what it was called. Leave it in the comments. I probably sound like a freaking moron, but me and Clay literally got like a blueprint.
I actually remember reading that, though, when we were doing that episode that we scrapped where we were covering all that and we were looking through. I do remember that being actually a part of the things.
I think they need to do more stuff like that. I think that kind of stuff is super cool.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's awesome, man. I think having anything where, like I said, just making it a point for people to just stay in the game, I think is important.
Yeah.
Whether that's something like
maybe that's the way you could do it. Simple shit like that. Give them a blueprint.
Yeah,
whatever.
Reward people for being a part and not being toxic and be like, oh, I died. I'm not going to wait till I come back. It's like,
dude, think about it. The little XP bonuses, the weapon XP bonuses, or the leveling up. Maybe if you make it to the top 10 teams or top 5 teams, however you think is fair, incentivize people to stay in the game and not bail.
Yeah, agreed. No. Our next topic is Fortnite. So Fortnite obviously came out recently with a new update for their new season. That is season 3 of chapter 2. Definitely mixed reviews on this one. I've heard a lot of very separate-sided things where I think some people were amazed by it and I thought it was a very refreshing change of pace, whereas other people felt like, oh, this is not a good direction at all. And I know you're kind of in that boat as well, where you weren't really too excited for it. And also, I think that's even something more considerable because we're coming out of this last season that, maybe up until the end, you were very into and you liked a lot and you thought was like a very good change. And on the other side of that coin was a lot of people were like, it's not that great. A lot of people felt that way. So now we're kind of on this one and now you're not.
Epic can't win. They can't win.
No.
Here's what I would say. So in Epic's defense, look, I keep defending Infinity Ward with Call of Duty Warzone because I just personally, I think it's a better game at this current state. But everybody knows, well, not everybody knows, but everybody who knows me in person knows that I'm one of those Fortnite guys who I'm in a season and I'll take a break for another season. Like, I don't play every season religiously. I don't buy every battle pass. I don't do that up until recently. So ever since, Fortnite, actually even before Fortnite Chapter 2, so the last season of Chapter 1, if you want to call it that, whatever it is, By the way, I have like a doodle on my hand. If anybody's noticing that,
It's cool.
yeah, it's stupid.
Little tap, bro.
Oh man, my lighting. Look, now it looks yellow. I don't know what's going on with the lighting here. It's
You
getting
keep
messed
trying to
up.
mess with his camera. Now you're orange. Back
Now
to
I'm
normal.
oh,
You're
now I'm
blue.
white again. I don't know what's going on.
It's all right.
Either way, so I'm one of these people where I like Fortnite. I'm not in love with it like some people are, and I will not always buy every season. But I would say probably the last 4, maybe even 5 seasons, I've been down. I've bought the battle pass. I've had a lot of fun. And now with this new one, it's funny because if you listen to any of the episodes in the past, I'm one of those guys. I'm not a crazy builder, and we had the Fortnite episode where we spoke about this update coming out, and it ended up a lot of that stuff did end up being true. Um, Shout out to Brad. Maybe link his stuff down below, but he speculated a lot about what the season was going to bring, and he was right in a lot of it. And one of the things was that this is going to have water all over the map, which kind of, it doesn't negate building, but it kind of, I don't know what the right word for it is, but there's not as much resources on the map. So I feel like they went out of their way with this season to try to satisfy the people that aren't as into building, because it's a little bit harder to build, harder to find resources. There's water all over the place. So you would think on paper, someone like me who's not really into building as much, this would be geared towards me perfectly.
Yeah.
And granted, I only played the one night with you, honestly. Me and my girlfriend played with you and your girlfriend.
Yeah.
We had fun. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, and maybe it's just me being like lame. But I looked at the battle pass. I'm looking at all the skins. I'm looking at the weapons. I'm looking at everything that the battle pass has, and I'm like, this just looks like the lamest battle pass I've seen in I don't know how many seasons. Like there was literally not one. There maybe was one skin in the entire battle pass that I was like, I'd want that skin. Every other skin to me looked lame. So right off the bat, even if it's superficial and kind of stupid, I had no motivation to buy the battle pass. So we start playing, and I'm like, okay, it's the same map, but like now there's less of the map because there's this water everywhere. So I get that they did that because that's going to impact the building aspect, but it's kind of like you took a step backwards. Like you just made the map smaller and you made more of the map inaccessible. So I don't know, my impressions, and again, these are early impressions. This is just based on one night of gameplay, maybe like 2 hours, maybe 3 hours of playing. We did end up winning a couple games. Actually, I ended up getting the win. I was the last one alive, and I was up against however many people, and that number went down more and more and more, and down until it was down to just 2 people versus me, and I was able to get the win, which I was very pumped and excited about getting the win. But
which I busted your balls.
The entire time I was playing that night, I was like, this is kind of an underwhelming season. Like, I'm not excited about this. Like, I'm not like, oh, let me stop playing Warzone. Let me stop playing this. Let me stop playing that so I can play this. I was kind of just like, eh. And that was kind of how I feel about it. And maybe I'm hypercritical. I know you're enjoying it. You're having a good time. So, like, tell me your perspective on it.
Well, I definitely agree in the sense of, like, making the – excuse me, that Lagunitas is coming through. No, I agree in the sense of, like, the inaccessibility is kind of lame, where it's like there was other ways you could have done that. I will say this, though. I do think that the plan would be to slowly but surely resurface the map. I don't know how they choose to do that. I mean, obviously that's going to happen. I would be very surprised if they left the map as is. I think it was definitely drastic enough because, like you said, I mean, you take away all this land, all this resource, you can't access it. One thing I was a little disappointed by with the addition of the water was that they didn't add in a mechanic to dive. I thought that would be really cool. And also in certain cases, you can actually see things underwater that you could potentially access if you were able to dive. And now how they would incorporate that, maybe you'd have to have an item to do it. Maybe like you'd get like a, scuba gear or something, like, or like a tank or something. And maybe it would take up an item slot and that would give you the ability. Maybe there was a duration.
Well, remember too, I'm not going to cut you off for long, but remember with that Fortnite event with, Oh my God, I'm brain farting.
Travis Scott, you were underwater.
Travis Scott, remember of there is one aspect during that event where you're swimming underwater. So
Which
we
is
were
why I thought, though, but that's why I thought.
yeah, we were speculating there was going to be a mechanic where you could fight or swim underwater, but I guess not.
And I thought like, I don't know. I thought that was kind of, like just to have so much water and then really not have much to do with it other than like one thing I thought was really cool is you get to ride sharks now. And so there's like these loot sharks and the loot that you get from them is not always very good. And sometimes it's actually awful. But in a lot of cases, you get very good items off of them. Like you'll get like great guns and stuff out of them. But besides that, I think that not having as much of the map is fine, but I do agree that there could have been other ways to go about that. And if you were going to add so much water, which that's what they chose to do, why not make it where it's a little bit more accessible in that sense that like, okay, we have a lot more water, but now you can dive. Now you can do other things. Like that to me would have been cool. In terms of the building, I mean, there is obviously a lot less resource, or at least that's the way it appears to be, because there's that much less land. There's that many less rocks and trees or, cars or whatever. But I do think that their plan would be to slowly resurface the map, bring everything back up, kind of restabilize things. I do think that this is a more temporary kind of thing for the game. But I like it as it is. I mean, I like the way that they kind of changed areas, like now everything's on floats and there's the water does create
it's kind of cool to look at, right? It's kind of like a water world looking kind of thing, which is kind of cool, I guess. But I don't know. Here's the thing I would say too. So there's people like me that aren't as into building, but then there's, the most hardcore, that's why they play the game, is the building. So I feel like if you didn't get me happy, if I'm not even happy, the people that are into building must be really upset and really uninterested in the game, because now your most hardcore group of the people that play this game, you've kind of alienated them, or not alienated them, but you've kind of hindered them in terms of now building has been negatively impacted. So I just feel like, I don't know. Again, we've talked about, I think developers really should, and I encourage them to experiment, try new things, not worry about the backlash. You can always revert back to what works. So I don't want to, make Epic feel bad in that don't ever try new things, but I just feel like this one hasn't really panned out very well so far. That's just my opinion.
No, and I can agree with that. So that's the kind of where I was going. Like, I mean, I feel like it is experimental, and that's why I do feel like it's temporary. I don't think that this is, for all of you people out there, I mean, there's no way in hell that Fortnite is going to remain this way. I'll tell you that for sure. They never have done this. Every single season is so different. This is, and I'm going to get into the more nitty-gritty stuff, like some of the mechanical changes and things that weapons they took out, weapons they brought back, which, by the way, quick spoiler, I'm really happy about some of them. But, besides that, I do think that I'm sorry, I'm like losing my train of thought. I was saying that I think, they've done a good job at keeping things fresh, but I do think that they've also exhausted a lot of their resources in terms of the ideas and concepts, because they've touched on so much. They've done the Wild West. They've done, aliens. They've done, like, I mean, anything you could think, they've done it.
I don't really buy that though. Like, I feel like there's still, I'm sorry, like, I'm not going to maybe think of it off the top of my head, but there's more you could do. Maybe space, maybe anti-gravity, maybe, like, there is definitely, like, limitless potential for things that they could do. I feel like this one's kind of weak.
I mean,
okay. Its execution, maybe the idea of it has a lot of potential, but I feel like, and again, when we spoke about this and we had that Fortnite podcast with Brad, we spoke about all this stuff, and I just feel like the end result and the execution of these ideas has been lackluster, especially when you compare it to how well they've done with a lot of their other seasons and a lot of their other things, and like the Travis Scott event. And like, again, for anybody, if you didn't see those videos, like, I honestly, I'm not the biggest Travis Scott fan in the world, but I thought that event was really cool. I thought it kind of transcended gaming. I thought everything about it was very cool, very impressive to me. Visually was stunning. I mean, like it just so I feel like Fortnite had this very like kind of up, like moving up momentum, and I feel like now they're kind of going back. And again, they can't always be perfect and do everything right, but I feel like this one's a little weak so far.
Well, okay, so I'll say this. I do agree where the weakness lies is in the map right now. Although I
It's the
do
same
like the
map, more or less, right? It's the same map. It's a
well,
small.
yeah. I
You
mean,
change a couple things.
they've
It's
added
the
in
same map.
certain areas like Caddy's Corner, Rickety Rig, which is obviously what was left of the rig from last season. Um, but
The
yeah, I mean,
what's the
I just
fortress in the middle? The vault? No, what's it called?
it was called the agency, and now it's called the authority.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I would actually say, based on my limited experience, I thought that was enough of a change. I was kind of impressed with the way they changed that up. But I feel like everything else, it was kind of like, okay, there's just water everywhere.
Well, okay, so my thoughts on because now we're talking about the authority, and that the only thing I can think of in my mind is immediately because when you think of the authority, you think the agency, and in both now, now versus then, you had the drum gun. So this is a perfect opportunity for me to kind of talk about
Weapons.
the guns and the weapons and more of the mechanical stuff. So, all right, I'll say this: pump shotgun's gone. A lot of people were not happy about that. There's a charge shotgun now, and I like it. I think it's cool. Rob's not a fan, but I will say it's definitely more impractical as a weapon. Um,
Well, dude, let me just say this real quick. Literally, before we made this video, you were streaming, and the last thing I saw on your stream was that you snuck up on a dude. You had your shotgun shard. He kind of turned around last second and started shooting you. You hit him with that shard shot, and it really did not do almost anything to him. And he was able to just keep firing at you with like a submachine gun. You're building, trying to get away from him, but like it didn't pay off, man. At least in that execution of it. And anytime that I've used it, I've always been disappointed with it. Like I don't like it.
yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I mean it is a cool thing, but I do feel like it's an impractical kind of weapon. Um, So it's a little bit here or there. The biggest reason why I would say it's impractical, and a lot of people, big Fortnite streamers have touched on this, is that because the game is really so much based on the building, the editing, and the structural integrity and stuff
Takes
like
too
that.
long.
Um, yeah, I mean that is the game. So, and when I mean structural integrity, I mean like that is literally the base of the game. That's what makes the game what it is. So um, for a gun that requires you to not do any of that, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it really just, it's
It
not like
takes
you like,
too long. It takes too long, man. I'm
yeah,
sorry. Like even someone like me, I'm a big Gears of War fan. And like there's a weapon for anybody who likes Gears. It's called the torque bow. And it's a bow, and you gotta hold R to charge the shot before you can fire it. But in that game, it's perfect and it's super satisfying, and I love it. This whatever, I don't even know what the shotgun's called, but whatever the hell it
it's
is.
just the charge shotgun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a similar concept, but the execution of it, I don't like anything about it. Like I picked the weapon up a few times, tried to use it a few times, and I was like, ugh,
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Also, in terms of the other weapons though, I'll say some good, some bad. I like the charge shotgun, conceptually speaking. I don't think that you're right in the sense of like the execution, I don't think is really there for the kind of game that you're playing. I don't think it really has the right fit. And that's what I mean by impracticality. Like it's just not meant for that kind of game. I mean, if it
No,
was a game that didn't
it doesn't feel good or right. Like it's just,
look, I'll put it to you like this: if Fortnite had no building and it was just a combat-based game, it would be awesome. But it's not that, and because it's so about like making a wall, then making a window, shooting, re-editing the wall, putting it back to normal, creating a staircase, side-swiping the staircase, coming down, reopening that same window, shooting. Like there's so much that you have to do, and to have so much like whatever it is, whether it's like a full-on second or whatever, to charge a gun and not have that ability to do any of that to
yeah,
create.
but then not even that. When you finally let go of the trigger and fire it, it doesn't even. It does what? Like what a pump shotgun did, instantly.
Yeah, more or less.
I mean, I guess statistically it does more damage, but it doesn't seem like it in execution based on my experience and based off watching you play.
Well, but here's where I think so I agree, right? So I can be on that
That
wavelength that
weapon's going to be gone in 2 weeks. Mark,
probably.
it's going to
But
be gone.
here's why I don't think it's going to be gone. I mean, this is the other side of this where I feel like the biggest thing that Fortnite faces as a game is as the meta evolves, right? And it's constantly evolving because they're constantly changing things. Um, it's the biggest struggle that they face is not hitting a wall, right? So it's like, okay, we got to keep switching things up so it never gets stale. But as of the past 5-6 seasons, we've really started to see the game kind of build up to one thing and one thing only, and that's box fighting, creating a 4x4, little box and just going to town and editing and doing stuff. So the reason why I think the charge shotgun was introduced, and also the tac shotgun being as nerfed as it was, and I'll talk about that in a second, but I think was to deter people from just playing the game like that, creating more of an emphasis on the long range weapons, the submachine guns, going kind of back to what they had in season. I want to say it was season 4, where it was like a very much a spray meta, where like you had your submachine guns, and that was really all you used. And even those came back. So now you have the P90 again, the burst submachine gun that you were able to pick up off of henchmen and inside of the chest at like the designated bases and stuff. That has a purple upgrade now, and I'm not really sure if that goes to gold or not. But I think that they're creating an emphasis on other weapons and not to be just so like build a wall, edit it, boom, shotgun to the head. So I think that was kind of why they did that. And I don't mind that because that makes the game less like one-tracked, in that it expands the ability to use other things and make it work. Now, as far as the tac shotgun goes, that got nerfed like insanely hard. I mean, the golden tac in last season was like arguably the best weapon other than like the drum gun, which is another gun that got heavily nerfed. Now, it's no longer Midas's drum gun. It's Jules' drum gun. So Jules is one of the characters that they introduced in this season. So for the tac shotgun, I'll touch on this before I go any further with anything else. Was, like I said, just unarguably one of the best weapons in the game, just insane amounts of damage, super quick. I mean, you're talking like body shots are doing like 110, 120, like just absolutely devastating people. You can still hit good shots with the gold tac, but you have to be a lot closer now. The damage drop off on range is like severe now, as opposed to before. Like you could hit people at a pretty reasonable distance. Now, even with a gold tac shotgun, if they're more than like 6 feet from you, you're landing maybe like 20, 30 damage. So they really that, and like I said, I think that's kind of why. But so now what I'm going to say in this next thing, I'm actually interested to hear what you have to say about this. I don't like. I think it's cool that there's mythic items, right? I think it's like awesome, and it's an incentive. Like, oh, hey, go out and beat this boss, and like you get this cool item. Okay, I get that. But what I don't like is that you have the drum gun, and in last season you had the minigun, you had Deadpool's pistols, you had the Piao assault rifle, which was like the heavy assault rifle, and mythic. There was a lot, like obviously all these different bosses had all these different weapons. But now, because there's that many less bosses, and it's really just Jules and Kit, and I think there might be one other person, but that's like pretty much it. Anyway, so there's that many less of these mythic weapons, and so it's like for the person who has these mythic weapons, like if you go in, you get Jules' drum gun. Now, although it was severely nerfed, it's still a drum gun. It's still going to do a considerable amount of damage. It still is good. It's still a viable weapon, and it's still mythic. So you can't look at the weapon and be like, oh, it's trash. It's just not as like ridiculously overpowered. Like Midas's drum gun, there's no denying that was the best weapon, hands down. Like that gun literally would shred people under a second. Full shield, full health, you were dead in like under a second. Yeah. But now they've, like I said, they nerfed that. They made Jules' version of it, and it's not nearly as good, but it's still very good. And then she actually also carries the grapple gun, which got buffed. Now the grapple distance at which you can shoot it is doubled or like even tripled. And then on top of that, when you do that, you actually deploy your glider. So in those, in those cases where you shot it and you like didn't stick the landing and you fell and you took damage, it's no longer an issue.
It almost seems OP.
Well, that's why I'm saying I don't like now. I'm really starting to notice it now. I really don't like the fact that there's a limited amount of these items. That there's one of each, because the second that player gets it in their hands, and even it's true for Sky's grappler for last season or her assault rifle, those gun, both of those items, like whether it was the gun or the grappler, were just so good. Like immediately, you have like the upper hand on everybody.
I mean, isn't that? I don't know. I mean, part of me wants to say that's. I mean, if there's literally only one, then like, if that's important to you, you go freaking get it. Like if you earned it and there's only one on the freaking map, then I feel like you deserve that advantage. I would almost argue I feel more like that.
Okay. I mean, I can see that side of it. Yeah. I just feel like to have something so good and then like only have one of it and then one person gets it and they just start. And I've seen it literally like.
But it's up to anybody. You all start on the map. I mean, if you want to incentivize and you think it's that good and it's that big of a deal, then you go try to get it.
True. I mean, I could see that. I just, like I said,
that's kind of how I feel, because I never felt like even last season, let's say with the drum gun, Sky's assault rifle, whatever that compound bow, whatever that bow was, I love that bow. That's kind of like that's awesome. More like a torque bow. But I never felt like, oh man, that person got that and that's why I died. Like most of the time I died last season is because I ran into somebody who's a way better builder than me. Not because they had that weapon or this weapon or this item. And especially if there's only one of it, that's even more reason that, well, then they deserved it then because they earned it. And if you think that's a big deal, go get it yourself. That's my opinion, but.
I mean, like I said, I could see that side of it. I don't know. Like, I feel like with something that's so overpowered, and then like I said, I mean, dude, I've literally watched, streamers who once they get the drum gun, it's just like they're just absolutely decimating every single person they come into contact with. Now, could you have the drum gun and lose?
That's
yeah, sure.
You take someone who's already super good, and now you give them that, and it's like they're unstoppable now.
That's kind of that's why I'm like,
I can see that. I'm not that good though, so I guess for me, I'm not thinking about it from that perspective. But
so okay, well, let me. I guess as our closing thought. I'm interested. Like, what now? We're in the season. You're obviously not that wowed. You think it's definitely one of the weaker seasons, which in a lot of ways, I actually can see where you're coming from. But now, looking forward, what would you like to see them get back to? What do you want to see them just get rid of? I actually, as a matter of fact, before you answer that, I did want to say they also brought back the hunting rifle, which is one of my favorite weapons of all time. They actually brought back the heavy, the bolt, the 50 cal sniper, pretty much. Like that's gone. The silent sniper gone. Silence, Scar, all that stuff's gone. Which I don't mind at all. I think is really cool, actually. But that being said, I'm sorry, I'm going on these tangents now, and I'm like losing my my train of thought. But so they made a lot of good weapon changes, and they did, I think, a lot of things right there. But now, like as a whole, what do you want? What do you want to see change? Go back, kind of.
I mean, for myself, it might sound really superficial. I mean, it's too little, too late. I mean, the battle pass is what it is. So I'm one of those guys who I'm kind of like, yeah, I'll get the battle pass. I mean, there's going to be a couple cool skins in there. They got V-Bucks in there. So if you ultimately get to level 100, you're paying for the battle pass and then maybe even a couple extra 100 V-Bucks. So it doesn't hurt to get the battle pass. Mm. This is the first battle pass where I'm like, literally, like, I am not buying that battle pass. Like, so that's besides the point. They're not going to do anything for that. I would say gameplay-wise and everything, I think it's cool that they're trying something new with the water. I would say maybe do elemental stuff with, so maybe have tidal waves, maybe have where you can freeze the water, maybe have, do something more with the water than just like, okay, this is the map you had last season, and now we just covered 35% of it with water, so you can't access 35% of it. Like, it just seems lazy to me. Like, okay, there's water, but you didn't really do anything with the water. Like I would say maybe as the season goes on, do something with the water. Like make the water impactful in some way to the gameplay,
Yeah.
which I'm not really seeing besides my resources are slightly more limited and aesthetically buildings have inflatable things on them that make them float. Okay. But like gameplay wise, like what are you doing with the water? Like as far as I could tell, not a whole lot. So I don't know. I would say elemental stuff, kind of what we speculatively spoke about in that other Fortnite episode where we were talking about. I think Brad. I don't know if it was Brad or someone brought up the aspect of maybe fire. So maybe the wood burning. So when you build wood stuff, it can burn. I mean, remember we went into even more speculation of like so brick so everything you could fire through it. I mean, that was something I think would be super cool to see in Fortnite for someone like me who's not as into building. Instead of throwing water onto 35% of the map, have freaking whatever the word you want to use for it, have bullet penetration. Have wood, the bullets are going to penetrate more. Brick, they're going to penetrate less, and maybe metal even less or not at all, however you want to work it. But have something mixed in there that makes it interesting. Maybe have that wood can burn and you can literally burn down. So like add more interesting, different new stuff. Like that's what I would like to see. Guarantee we're not seeing it. Like I feel, in my opinion, for this season, I think what we see is what we're going to get. I mean, they might have some slight adjustments, and especially leading up to whatever the next season is, because that's what they normally do. Like the maybe week or 2 weeks leading up to the new season, they'll really experiment and do some cool, fun, interesting things.
Yeah.
But this season's brand new. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot change in the next few weeks. So, I mean, maybe I'll be proven wrong. I'd be happy to be proven wrong, but I don't know. This is the first battle pass in probably 4 or 5 seasons that I'm not going to buy, and I don't have high hopes. I will say if my girlfriend will keep playing with me, I will definitely come back into Fortnite because it's fun to play it. Don't get me wrong. I love Fortnite. It's fun. It's fun to throw it in there and mix it into other kind of, when you're playing other stuff.
Yeah.
It has its place. But this season to me is weak. I'm not impressed with it. And I don't expect a lot. I don't think they're going to be adding anything crazy or substantial in the next couple weeks. Maybe a couple weeks before the next season comes out, we'll see some substantial stuff, but I don't think we're going to see anything crazy, going forward. I think it's kind of more of what we have seen, maybe a couple weapon tweaks, maybe things like that, but I don't have high hopes.
All right, well, there you have it, guys. Rob is saying he loves Fortnite, but Fortnite sucks right now, and they need to get their shit together. And
well, here's what I would really say too, just to touch real quick. If you're in a building, you're probably even more disappointed than I am right now. So I would say if they're not even keeping me kind of a more casual, not as build-centric player, then they're probably not keeping anybody that happy right now. That's what I would say. So hopefully you agree with me in some way or another. But
well, if you guys do feel that way, or if you think we're totally off the mark here, and maybe you're more aware of some things that we aren't, and you want to leave that in the comments below, please feel free to do so. In our next video, I'm not really sure exactly what we're going to talk about. We're going to try to, I guess, wait and see.
Here's what I would like to say. If you're up for it, you're not going to be able to, it's going to be a little bit maybe more me talking about it, but I would like to talk about The Last of Us 2.
Well, there you go. That's it. That's it.
So,
right there. Yeah, we can do that. I mean,
I have a lot of strong opinions about this game, good and bad, both. So I'm not one of these guys who's like one or the other, black or white. I'm like, there are things I love about the game, and there are things that I hate about the game. So I'm kind of somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Well, so there you go. If for our next episode, he'll probably be talking about it a lot more than I am, because I haven't played any of the games. I know that's obviously
the first one. The first one's a 10 out of 10. It's an amazing game. You should play that. That should be on your long list of games to play.
Yeah, and a lot of games I have to touch back on.
Yeah.
But as always, guys, thank you very much. quick reminder again for the giveaway. If you're interested in doing that, look for the video down below. I have the link in the bio for that PS4 controller. And also, if you're not doing so already, and whether you're interested in the controller or not, please do go down, hit that sub button for all of the stuff that we have to talk about for that next episode in Last of Us, and for a ton of more stuff that maybe you haven't seen before. We've been pretty good about the consistency here, and we're trying our best to, keep videos coming out. As a quick update before we let you guys go, Rob's working right now actually on creating his setup as best he can. And so slowly but surely, we'll be able to actually get videos out even quicker and do more with them. We are still trying to segment our videos.
Yeah.
It is hard. It's definitely more difficult than it appears to be.
I'm working a ton. He's working. I'm working on getting a laptop, a computer, so I can, do this stuff more easily. So we'll get there. I know we've been talking about it forever, but we are going to get there. And I think it'll be nice to kind of segment them, because I'm sure there's people who watch these videos and you probably get 15, 20 minutes in and you're like, I'm not interested in Modern Warfare. I'm not interested in Pokemon. I'm not interested. So it'll be kind of cool in the future to segment them into smaller videos, and you can kind of just, watch the section that you're interested in. So that's something we're working on.
Yeah. And, and then also too, for, kind of touching back for you guys that are on MiXer moving off, Rob's in that same boat, and he's going to be moving over to Facebook Gaming in that same process with, creating the setup and getting all the things he needs. And, hopefully sooner than later, he'll have that going. For the meantime, I will post my own thing in the, right below here, so you can see it for yourselves. I'm over at Facebook Gaming. That's at Trademarks Official, or the actual title of the page is The Trademarks.
Check out my Instagram, I guess, for now.
And then, also,
on MiXer isn't going to happen really. So,
well, also speaking of Instagram, if you're not doing this one already, it's a damn shame. You should definitely go, and if you're on Instagram, go find us at Beers and Boss Battles. We have a page there, still growing as well. But we do a lot of like little things like beer reviews and just mini game stuff that we don't actually have.
I've been trying to throw up clips of, different things. So, yeah.
And, we'll catch you guys in the next one. I hope in the meantime, though, you guys are sitting back, enjoying a beer, playing some great games, and see you guys next time.